Animals have no emotion. The cat doesn't think the way you want him to. They act on pure instinct. They don't love anyone or even other family members. This cat did not miss this woman, but was only showing distress because it was hungry. The woman is being used by the cat. It's sad that you haven't realized this. Redditors only love animals so much because they are the only things that will show them attention. Any attention is good to them, even if it's negative. Cats do not love humans, but they find them useful. Yet the reason nobody loves you isn't because of their lack of capacity. It's yours. What is up, my aesthetic boys? It's Fresh, back with another video. On today's episode of r/MurderedByWords, we take a look at some of the zestiest roasts on the internet, and who knows, I may even do a little roasting myself. What's something that's not actually Christian, but Americans think is? America? Yeah, man, I should have chose the supreme hobby of being on Reddit 24/7 like you. Homie, you have comments from 5 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago, 36, 59, an hour, 2 hours, 3 from 3 hours ago, 2 from 4 hours ago, 1 from 5 hours ago. You have had 23 dumbass things to say in the last day, counting this. Have you ever thought about how all these humans have gotten here after thousands of years with no vaccines? Vaccines were invented less than 200 years ago. The guy that invented them realized it was a bad idea. Now, look at all these ignorant people acting as if vaccines is their god. Seriously, folks, wake the f*** up. Vaccine Nazis are the worst. Most everyone has survived these diseases. Basically, pro-vaxxers are saying you were designed deficient and you need man to fix you. Pure stupidity. Take your vaccines and leave the ones who don't want vaccines alone. Quote, in 1736, I lost one of my sons, a fine boy of 4 years old, by the smallpox taken in the common way. I long regretted bitterly and still regret that I had not given it to him by inoculation. This I mention for the sake of the parent who omit that operation on the supposition that they should never forgive themselves if a child died under it. My example showing that the regret may be the same either way and that therefore the safer should be chosen. Ben Franklin, 1793, from his autobiography. Vaccines existed well over 200 years ago, were a known science even then, and were proven successful. Also, the guy that invented them realized it was a bad idea? Which guy exactly? The guy. Does he have a name or something that isn't a figment of your imagination? Listen, I know you're fairly outclassed in comparison to one of our nation's most eminent thinkers, but that doesn't mean you need to lean into it and run in the opposite direction. From Google Stadia, we can't wait to explore Night City the instant it's live. I bet all 12 Stadia users can't wait. Did you come up with this joke all by yourself, sport? Of course you did. No one else in the history of the world is this clever. Do you have a newsletter or provide seminars on how to be so clever so I can learn from an obvious master? Oh no, I've upset Stadia user number 9. Okay, fine. I'm McDonald's, your secret Santa. Guess what I got you? Diabetes? Teachers, like, why the f would you let someone whose decisions led them to a $30,000 or $40,000 career teach your kid how to be successful? Well, as I see it, this comment can only have come from one of the 3 following places. 1, trolling, in which case, grow the f up. 2, attempted ironic stupidity, which is indistinguishable from actual stupidity. Or 3, an absolute dog shit worldview where success is measured in dollars. Therefore, teachers, social workers, EMTs, police, firefighters, pilots, and anyone else who's underpaid for doing something they love. Also, it's who's, not whose, but teachers, right? Welsh woman, 108, becomes one of the first care home residents to get coronavirus vaccine. Her reaction afterwards is priceless. Everyone should be more like Mary. Well, no disrespect, but why are we keeping someone that's 108 years old alive and not concerned about the ones that will make sure our whole future could be secured? I bet you're one of those All Lives Matter brigade too. Yeah, definitely. Every life matters. Well, except for Mary's, apparently. Lady Mandalorians have boob armor. Oh, come on. Seriously? You're right. Armor should totally be manufactured exclusively to fit a male body, and women should cram uncomfortably into it because denying our own body contours to achieve a male-inspired standard is somehow consistent with feminist ideals. Gotcha. Good people move forward in society. Bad people stick with minimum wage jobs for the rest of their lives and complain about how unfair life is. Yeah, if you want a living wage, get a better job is a brilliant way of saying I agree and it's in my interest that your current job be done, but also the people doing your job deserve to live in poverty. Let's take a quick history lesson on the minimum wage. Here's what FDR had to say on the federal minimum wage in 1933 after the passing of the National Industrial Recovery Act, and I quote, "No business which depends for existence on paying less than living wages to its workers has any right to continue in this country. By business, I mean the whole of commerce as well as the whole of industry. By workers, I mean all workers, the white-collar class as well as the men in overalls. And by living wages, I mean more than a bare subsistence level. I mean the wages of decent living. There is no gray area here, there is no confusion. This is just history. The federal minimum wage was meant to not just be survivable even, it was meant to be decently livable. Herpes, AIDS, and hepatitis are all viruses, so they tell us. Ever see anybody wear a mask to prevent the spread of any of those? Yeah, me neither. Well, Karen, they're called condoms. Dick masks, if that helps. Hey guys, I'm looking for a book of low-calorie recipes, about 1,700 per day, because the foods I've been eating are starting to look the same. Does anybody have any recommendations? I greatly appreciate it. Okay, calorie counting doesn't work. I do it all the time and I gain weight. Just do intuitive eating instead of starving your body like you do before you regret it for good. Besides, why are you complaining? All you eat goes straight to your ass anyway. Look, I'm gonna be blunt since you decided you can comment on my eating and my body. You need an extra serving of reality instead of an extra serving of lasagna. First of all, I've witnessed how you eat firsthand and I've seen what you log. You eat breaded chicken salads covered in cheese and Thousand Island or ranch. You only count the salad and log it as if it was grilled. Instead of drinking water or even a diet soda, you drink those big ass bottles of naked juice and you don't log those either. Second of all, girl, this is not the first time you have alluded to me starving my body. Eating frozen fruit bars instead of ice cream, thin garden vegetable pizzas instead of thick pepperoni, pickles instead of chocolate, and grilled chicken sandwiches instead of double quarter pounders is not starving my body. It's being disciplined and finding a middle ground while still satisfying my cravings. You thought you were doing something cute by commenting that, but I am not the one. Take several seats and reanalyze what you said because you look like a bigger ass than the one I apparently have. No need to ask her to take a seat when you did that for her. My God. This woman thought it would be quirky to comment on someone else's eating habits and body in some negative ways, and she absolutely got what's coming to her. Homie didn't go out of his way to do anything. He just gave her a taste of the same medicine she'd been doling out, and I can't imagine that taste was all that pleasant. I've known people that wear a mask religiously and have still gotten the virus. Yeah, and I've known people who obey speed limits and traffic lights still get into car accidents. People who didn't smoke who got lung cancer. How many helmeted kids got hurt on their bikes? The fact that no safety precaution is 100% effective is not an excuse to act irresponsibly. She loves Pride Month, but herself is married to a straight guy. I find that quite ironic. Well, I support animal rights and I'm not gonna marry a fucking whale, George. Come on, George! Oh, fucking classic George. Look, dude, scalping is just supply and demand economics. Do some research. Good luck, man. Oh, I got my minor in macroeconomics. Here's the problem with the scalper's market principle. You believe you control supply, which you don't because you do not create the supply. Unlike concert tickets with a set limited time frame, you are trying to sell a console you did not produce or add value to. You have a ticking time clock because once Microsoft increases supply by next week, you will have a lower market threshold since more consoles will be readily available. Look at that, Robert reduced the price to $925 for Xbox Series X. Oh, Robert reduced the price to $900. Robert reduced the price to $875. Back down to $850 for Robert. Oh, I see supply's gone up and you can't find a buyer now. Economics, you say? Well, looks like it's time for me to do some murdering of my own. First of all, this is an incredibly poetic interaction. Fuck scalpers, all my homies hate scalpers. But the scalper isn't really wrong. There is definitely an element of supply and demand economics for Mr. Scalper in that currently he controls accessibility of supply, whether or not he will tomorrow. That means that if someone wants a PS5 right now, this is how you can get it and he can set that price. The next day or the next week, that could totally change because, as our protagonist correctly points out, he doesn't actually make the consoles. But then he goes off track a bit by saying the scalper adds no value. That's a tricky word here. In a purely economic sense, scalpers actually increase market efficiency by allowing people to pay more for a product that they value higher than other people who might be, in this case, willing to wait. There's a big difference between efficient and fair, though. Scalping might give greater efficiency to markets with uncertain demand, but they're not at all fair. I hate scalpers too because it doesn't feel fair that someone else gets to pay more to get the product I wanted for retail, or in this case for less, but when manufacturers are limited in capacity and demand well exceeds that capacity, scalpers swoop in and extract the surplus that a consumer who would have paid more would otherwise save purchasing at retail cost. All my homies hate scalpers for sure, but referencing a minor in macroeconomics, especially when this post talks about microeconomics and then getting those economic concepts wrong, is just not the move. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.